Hi everyone! In this video, you are going to be learning how to write a poem that rhymes. And your topic is going to be best friends. So your poem is going to follow a certain pattern. Now when a poem has a pattern, it has a rhyme scheme. Okay, remember I told you in math that patterns can be found everywhere? Well, patterns can definitely be found in poetry. Let's take a look at what I mean by that. Okay, so first you have to realize what it means when something rhymes. I'm going to read this verse from a poem. It's from the Best Friends poem. It's an example. And I want you to listen for the words that rhyme. If you were a chapter book, I could be your page. If you were a circus lion, I could be your cage. Did you hear two words that rhyme in that poem? If you thought that page and cage were rhyming words, then you were correct. Do you notice that they have that same sound at the end, age? Page, cage, they both have an age sound in it. But here's one thing to note. For words to rhyme, they don't have to be spelt the same, but they have to have the same sound at the end. Okay, they have to sound the same, even though they're not spelt the same. Sometimes though, like these two words, they are spelled the same, okay? Okay, so this is what it means to rhyme. Page and cage have the same age sound at the end of the word. Now, what does it mean to have a pattern or a rhyme scheme in a poem? Well, let's listen to this poem to find out. If you were a chapter book, here's the first word at the end of a line. I could be your page. Does page rhyme with book? Nope, not yet. Nothing rhymes yet. If you were a circus lion, there's the end of the word. Does lion rhyme with page or book? No, it doesn't. I could be your cage. Oh, there's our first rhyme. And our first rhyme is lines 2. So if this was line 1, this is line 2. This is line 3. This is line 4. Lines 2 and 4 are lines that rhyme. Okay? So it creates a pattern. I give the letter A to the first line because, frankly, it's our first line and nothing rhymes with it yet. So we're just starting with the first letter of an alphabet because when we do a rhyme scheme, we can use the letters of the alphabet. So book is the first word in our poem at the end of the line, so we're going to give it an A. The next line ends in the word page. Page does not rhyme with book, so I cannot give it the same letter, so I'm going to give it the letter B. The next line ends in the word lion. Lion does not even rhyme with page or book, so I give it a different letter. I give it the letter C. So far I've got A, B, C. Book, page, lion. In your poem that you're writing today down here, the first 3 lines do not rhyme. But when you get to the last line, you hear the word cage, it is going to rhyme with whatever word you had ending your second line. Okay, so that's going to be our rhyme scheme. That's going to be the pattern. Again, like I said, patterns are found everywhere. That will be the pattern that you will use in your poem. Let me give you an example so that you can see what that sounds and looks like when you're writing your poem. So you are going to use this poem frame. Every line that you write in your 3 verses, you're going to create 3 verses in a poem. Every line is going to start like this. If you were a, I could be your. If you were a, I could be your. Again, we have a pattern, right? So, if you were a. Now, when you're writing the first line of your poem, you can literally pick any noun you want here. It can be anything. A horse, a house, a dog, a cat, a rainbow, and you can add descriptive words. If you were a chocolate lab, like my Zoe, okay, you could be descriptive in your noun, describe your noun. Okay, so let me just start with picking any word. If you were, I'm going to go simple. I'm not going to put a descriptive word in there yet, just to keep it simple. If you were a dog, this is my first line of poetry. It just gets an A. Nothing rhymes with it yet, okay? If you were a dog, I could be your. Now, if we think of the poem that we did up here, do you notice that when I chose the word page because it is closely related to a book. Our poem is about best friends. We're showing the closeness of friendships. So when I had the word book as my topic for my first line, I have to think of something that's really close to a book. And well, a page is found in a book. So you want to think of the closeness of this. That shows the closeness of friendships. If you were a dog, I could be your what? What is something so close to a dog? It represents the closeness of friendship. Well, a bone. Dogs love bones, so I'm going to put bone. Does dog rhyme with bone? No, it does not, because it's a B. We're following this rhyme scheme, okay? These two lines don't rhyme, but they do show two things that are very close to each other. If you were a dog, I could be your bone. Now I think of my next line. If you were now this line doesn't really matter what it is because it doesn't have to rhyme. See, it's a C, A, B, C. But what does matter is that this line rhymes with this line. So my next job is going to be to think of a word that rhymes with bone. What rhymes with bone? Oh my gosh, there's so many words that rhyme with bone. Can you think of a few? Did you think phone? Did you think cone? How about tone? Zone. There's so many words. Because it's important that these two lines rhyme, I'm going to skip this line for now and just write down my rhyming word. I could be your, let's go with cone. Okay, so bone and cone. Now I've got my rhyme scheme covered. My next job is to think of this third line. What is something closely related to a cone? Well, the first thing that pops into my head when I think of a cone is ice cream. So I'm going to write ice cream, but let me read this line for you and see if it makes sense. If you were at ice cream, does that sound right? Maybe I'll just get rid of this, okay? If you were ice cream, I could be your cone. Okay, let's read that over and make sure that we followed the right rhyme scheme. A, B, C, B. If you were a dog, I could be your bone. If you were ice cream, I could be your cone. We did it. We wrote a poem that rhymes following the rhyme scheme A, B, C, B. And there it is, okay? All right, let's give another example. Now you'll notice in your booklet, you'll have this page, and on the back of this page is going to be a page that just has lines, and you're going to wonder, what do I write here? Remember, we are following the same pattern in every line. If you were a, I could be your. If you were a, I could be your. Your 4 lines will start that way for each verse. So I'm going to write it out myself because I can do that. I don't need someone writing it for me. So if you were and then I'll leave that blank, I could be your. Remember, you are writing this out yourself. If you were I could be your. Okay, there's my pattern from my poem. Now I just got to figure out my last few words and make sure that this line rhymes with this line, okay? Remember, for my first line, you can literally pick anything you want, any noun, okay? You can be as creative as you want, a unicorn and talk about a horn. You can be talking about a rainbow and a color or something like that. I'm just going to go, I'm looking around me and I've been at home so much, I'm just going to pick house. If you were a house, now, remember that's my rhyme scheme A. My next line does not rhyme with this, but it does tell me something very close to a house, just like friends are very close. I could be your door. There we go. If you were a, now do you remember I'm going to skip this line right now because this line doesn't really matter. What matters is this line rhyming with this line, okay? What rhymes with door? Did you think of floor? Because I sure did. Now, what's important is that I find my third line, something closely related to a floor. What is closely? Now, I don't want to say house again because I already have house and that wouldn't sound very good. So I'm going to say maybe a lot of you might take gymnastics. So I'm going to say gymnasium. If you were a house, I could be your door. If you were a gymnasium, I could be your floor. A, B, C, B. House, door, gymnasium. Those 3 lines don't rhyme. What does rhyme though is the word floor with the word door. That's the rhyme scheme we're following today, okay? Now finally, maybe I'll use the example that's found on the front of your page. If you were a monkey, remember it always starts with that. If you were a, and I'll just say monkey. Now what's closely related to a monkey? Well, I can ask myself, where do they live? What do they like to eat? Well, they like to live in a tree. I could be your tree. See, following that pattern. If you were a, I could be your. If you were a. Now, does it matter really what this line is right now? No, I'm going to skip line 3 for now and go right down to line 4. I could be your. Now, what matters is that this line rhymes with this line, okay? What rhymes with tree? Anything that rhymes with tree. Well, I'm going to write B. Now, all I have left is to think of something closely related to a bee. Well, where does a bee live? How about a hive? Let's read over our verse and make sure it follows our rhyme scheme. If you were a monkey, I could be your tree. If you were a hive, I could be your bee. There it is. Tree and bee rhyme. These 3 lines do not rhyme, so when you post your poem to Seesaw, can you please check that? You're following the rhyme scheme A, B, C. These don't rhyme. A, B, C, B, this line and this line do rhyme. So the order of you writing your lines is first line first, then the second line, jump down to the bottom line, and finally do that line as your 4th step, okay? What matters is that these 2 lines rhyme in your poem. Once you're done, your poem will show the closeness of friends, okay? So that's it. This poem is going to be due next Thursday. Best friends, look for it in your poetry booklet. Have fun. Bye-bye for now.